All right. Happy Friday to everybody. It is a good and cold morning here in Metro Detroit. But as always, looking forward to connecting, sharing my 2 cents on a variety of subject matter. And today will be a doozy because literally the Crimex opens up and they slam it down and it's continuing to bottom out. But then again, be of good cheer, my good people, because QE starts today. So you can be assured that the more currency that's created, the more that they're going to, yeah, metals will respond. So anyway, as always, looking forward to connecting and share my 2 cents on a variety of subject matter. And so let me know if you guys can hear me. Let me know if I'm coming in loud and clear. Just trying to shift things up on my end here and get right into it. And so as always, for those who are plugged in, if you have not as of yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell notification. Let me know if everything is coming in smoothly here. And let me check and make sure everything is operational on my end here. And then we're going to get into it. And as always, for those who are plugged in, let me know where you're watching from and let me know what you're keeping your eyes on as well. Because as of right now, it is extremely, extremely cold. So let me know where you're checking in from as well. So as of right now, it's 30 degrees in Detroit. So yeah, but anyway, I'm gonna make the most of these moments, man. Anyway, hope everyone's doing well. So yeah, I'm gonna jump right into it, man. I'm gonna jump right into it and share with you what I believe is happening. And this angle that I'm going to present is predicated on last night me doing some just doing some due diligence, doing some maintenance, whatever, looking for some opportunities, looking for deals, and I noticed that a very popular coin dealer was down. And so when I noticed that the coin dealer was down, I'm like, oh, okay, that's different. It's kind of odd to go offline at a time where everybody's clamoring to try to get physical silver. And then when it came back online, I noticed something different. And then from me noticing that, it led me to then try to find out if it was an industry thing. And so literally I believe that it is more of an industry thing as far as online dealers looking to, I guess, further entice as well as excite bullion dealer or stackers in general. And they're doing it trying to encourage people towards a fractional side of things. And that right there is interesting because I've been following a variety of dealers, got, affiliates with a lot of dealers, and never have they outright promoted fractional silver. And so the question I want to put out there is like, okay, is because silver appears to be moving and they themselves have to, I guess, and I talked about this before, but because some more people now who've been very patiently waiting, maybe redeeming or exchanging their coins for fiat and vice versa. So on a business side of things, they're trying to diversify themselves, and literally they may have inventory of whether it be sovereign coins or just fractional in general. But more dealers might be looking to try to steer people towards smaller weights in hopes of trying to either diversify their business or just offer people variety. I don't know. It's hard to read right now, but definitely something worth paying attention to. So I'm going to share my thoughts on that. And as always, for those who are plugged in, let me know where you're watching from. And I'll try to get on the screen here. We got, I see a lot of people plugging in, Ed checking in. Caught you live in a long time. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've, trying to, lots of things on the back end, man, trying to make sure I stay connected. Algorithms aren't my friend, but I'm going to keep plugging along. And that's why I rely upon support from you guys. Definitely hit that thumbs up button. That should hopefully show that, I'm live and people want to check in with me. So I see it's 70 degrees here. Okay. So we got, just let me just check in, acknowledge a couple of people. 70 degrees over here. Okay. Appreciate you, man. Coin dealer was down because LBP got more credit cards and cleaned them out. Man, we got Texas. We got Texas in the middle. Okay, so a variety of people checking in, and so I appreciate your blessing with your time. Don't want to waste your time, so let's just jump right into it. And so, as always, as I mentioned, always looking for opportunities to get more weight myself. And so, in doing so, I'll come across opportunities. I want to make sure I share with the community. So, let me just jump right into it and not waste any time. So, what I want to make available to everybody or bring it to your attention, if you guys are interested, of course, getting discounted silver is always a bonus. So, if you guys are interested, this is a sale that I saw that was worth bringing to your attention. So, it is an opportunity to get fractional 42% off the premium. And so it's a 48-hour sale, 1/10 ounce Indian fractional reserve or fractional silver round. And so if you guys are interested in taking advantage of this sale, I just saw a discount. I saw, 42% off the premium. I'm like, okay, I'll definitely take advantage of it and bring it to my people. So if you're interested, I put the link beneath this video here. So go check it out and stack happily, my friends. Get your weight up there. And then also for those who have not as of yet, you never know, have you taken the Silver IQ quiz? Because silver will become a household topic pretty soon, especially heading into Christmas. Of course, I'm sure everybody's going to have gatherings, meetings, and things of that nature. So you better believe people going to be like, what's going on? And that's your chance to encourage them to continue to get the weight up, because going into 2026, we're going to see some fireworks that we could never have imagined. So my point is, how well do you know silver? Take a minute, 15 quick questions. As of right now, the average is 66 or so, 66 or so. So definitely there's room for growth. There's room for growth in everybody's monetary literacy. So if you haven't, links in the description. Take a minute, we'll check that out, and you'll be more than blessed with that. Okay, so let's just get into it, man. So as I mentioned, coin dealers, I believe, are shifting. So I literally went online and was searching some of the more popular dealers, and what stood out to me were the different weights and fractional weights being advertised in abundance. And so here, SD bullion on the screen here, as you can see on the screen here, you got 3/4 ounce, you got 1/2 ounce, you got 1/4 ounce, you got 1/10. And mind you, as I mentioned, and this is just SD bullion, so I can take it over to JM as well. So they got and so mind you, the reason I bring this to your attention, because I've been studying this, combing all the dealers online just to look for deals, look for sales, and I've never seen so many options of fractional. And so I'm wondering, is this a part of the strategy to diversify their business, or will we get to the point where, an ounce of silver right now, let me actually, I'll get to the spot price in a moment, but if you look at the actual price online, and of course, coin shops, I'm sure is different, but the premiums is going to be the thing that we're going to be talking about pretty soon, because the higher silver price goes from a business standpoint, dealers are going to end up needing to add a higher premium cost because of the potential volatility. Every dealer who takes in new rounds of silver, they got to be concerned with the fact that they're taking it in at a certain amount, and then if the market slams down, that $1, $2, $3 or so adds up on their side. So they got to be more cost efficient, and so the premiums, I'd imagine, definitely going to be bigger on these things here, but they'll be easier to move for the average Joe just getting involved, because most people may not be able to come in and drop a big chunk of change on a full 20 stack or anything larger. So fractional going to be the way. So anyway, my point is, so there's a page here. Look at this. JM Bullion has never had this prior to this recent surge. So here you got 1/10, you got all these options: 1/10, 1/10, 1/10, a 10th. You got a 10th, a quarter. You got a quarter, a half. You got a half. So half, 1/4. So all these options here, and a lot of this stuff down here is already out of stock. So definitely, the silver surge is taking place regardless of the spot price. And then just to confirm this, here's monetary metals. And so once again, they have a nice assortment. They got 1 1/4 ounce, it's a 1 1/4, a 1 1/4. I never seen that before. You got the Val Canby bars. These right here, these small 1 gram bars. These things are moving, I'm sure. You got a 1/2 ounce, you got half, you got Legos, silver Legos, you got, Canadian junk. So so my point is, right now, silver dealers are starting to position themselves in a different way, because my assumption would be offering customers variety, but also all shifting into the mindset that once silver surpasses $100 an ounce, which I believe is obviously coming, majority of people will not walk in the way they used to in the past and buy multiple ounces. You're going to have people, especially the newbies, as retail really gets in here, because as of now, everything has been driven by institution as well as nation states. This is not even a retail FOMO, because most people don't even know what's going on here. So when you have mom and pops and low income individuals coming into the shop, they're not coming in to buy tubes. They come in to buy whatever they can get. And so to get 1/10 here, a quarter here, just literally what used to be considered just change will definitely be flying off the shelves. And then you're going to factor in the price of that. So let me share with you like the premiums on them outside of the opportunity I just showed you guys by it being a 42% off opportunity to take advantage of. You look at all these other items, and so let me just go back here. And I know I'm ranting a little bit everywhere. And so so we got okay, so here's something I just noticed. So here you got a 1/8 ounce, a 1/8 ounce. Think about that, like 1/8 ounce. Like, is it poured that way, or is that a strategic weight to where they're literally selling 1/8 ounces blocks? You got a quarter here. So let's look at the tenths. Let me go back here and factor. Okay, so here's a tenth. So just look at this eagle. So this here 1/10. So out the door, as you can see above my head here, or maybe not, right here, using a credit card, it's $11 for 1/10. So if you that $11, or just we'll just say as low as 963. 963 times 10 is $96.30, would be the equivalent of a full ounce at this particular price here. And so, as you can see, we're going to be getting into some numbers that will definitely be surprising, to say the least. But so you take this particular 1/10 times 10 to equate to a full ounce, you're paying $96. And so once again, at this current rate here, that sounds like a lot, but let's think about things when we get past $100 an ounce and more. Going in and getting fractional will become very common, I'm sure. And out of curiosity, I would wonder, for my people who tuning in, have you yourselves taken advantage of the fractional? Will you be taking advantage of the fractional? Of course, everybody's financial situation is different. Or are you still going, for an ounce here, 2 ounces here, or tubes, or you're going for a case, or what? That's just things to consider. And as always, on my end, being a part of the silver team, having a monthly allocated amount coming in, I'm going to stick to what I've been doing all along, not worrying about it, and then looking for deals as I find them. So that's just me. Okay, so let's keep it going. So let me get into some more other things here. So I didn't even get into the primary subject matter outside of the bullion situation. So that's something to keep an eye on. And let's just jump right into it and let me get myself situated here. So here we have early morning activity in the Western Hemisphere. And should you be surprised? Obviously not. We're going to see a lot more intentional slamming down, but mind you, where we're already at. The cat's out the bag. We're already at all-time high territory. So I don't think any of this stuff that we're witnessing can last long, given that this is all at a deliberate attempt by the Western Hemisphere to try to keep that cap on as best they can, because as I mentioned throughout this entire week, if I was to zoom back out and go back to Monday, it played out exactly as I said. The Eastern Hemisphere will set the high, the West will come in, suppress the high, and then we'll go throughout the day in the Western Hemisphere. Markets close here, go towards evening time when the markets open up in Asia, and then it takes back off. And so my whole point is, come Monday, I anticipate a much harder, higher, faster surge, because the world now have been clued in on, if I can say it that way, to the QE aspect. So today is QE day. It is the official launch of the monetary spigot being cut on by 40 billion. So imagine Jerome Powell, the FOMC, just here go 40 billion for you. And I made a comment on my socials about the crypto space. A lot of people in the crypto world are, baffled how, silver and gold is moving, but Bitcoin hasn't really done anything. And I'm like, be patient. It will, because they want the funds to flow there primarily. They would rather, meaning the Wall Street, the banksters and everybody else, they would rather the spigot, the gushing of the monetary spigot flow towards this decentralized space, so it attract the Westerners, then it flow into gold and silver to where it outpaces gold and silver all-time highs on a daily basis, outpace the crypto space. They can't have that. It would completely distort their idea of a restructuring of the monetary system, and it will force people to go backwards instead of forward. So be patient for my crypto people. Your time will come. But in the meantime, stack heavily, stack wisely. Okay, so let me see here. I get carried away sometimes, but let's just jump into it. So here you see Crimex activity, and of course already we got gold starting to turn the corner, and of course silver is turning as well. And so what is most notable is every time there was a potential uptick in silver. So we'll get here, it'll get slammed down, bam, it'll get bought back up, then it slammed back down again. It'll get bought back up, slammed down again, and now it's being bought back up, meaning that those countless, I would assume they probably dumping millions of ounces of silver is not managing to stick because the upward pressure is so strong that it doesn't matter how much. So this is what I'm talking about here. So I just showed you a different look of it. So literally this is the last hour. And so here, let me go back 6 hours just for the sake of the price. So literally the new all-time high, let me just zoom back out here. The new all-time high was set at 64.51. So as you can see above my head here, 64.51. That was at 917. 917. Let me just go back out because I still seem kind of low. Okay, so 64.51 was set at 9 this morning. And then immediately, as we get into early morning activity here, these are the slam downs I'm referring to. So literally, as you can see over my shoulder here, let me zoom in more. Set a high, markets open, bam, slam down. It got down to 62.86, but it recovered slightly. 10 cents. They slammed it down further. So these slam downs could have been, I don't know the specifics of it, but just say 100 million ounce type contracts or something like that. And then we got from 62.96 down to 61.74. Then it recovered. Let me move around here. And then we bottomed out at $61.04. That was at 11.42. And then since then, bid up, slam down, bid up, slam down, bid back up. So now as I just moved, it shot up to 61.72. So my point is the upward pressure is so fierce that the downward suppression is no longer sufficient. And so my suspicion is we're going to see 63, 64 before markets close the day head into the weekend. If they're lucky, they'll keep it below 64. But come Monday morning, we're going to see some things that we could never imagine. And why? Let me just jump right into this one. And so today, people, the Federal Reserve began purchasing $40 billion in Treasury bills per month starting today. So the spigot is cut back on, and you better believe the rest of the world's watching. Every single creditor to the United States government is now like, okay, they're back at it again. And it was 9 days. It took 9 days or 9 or not 9 days, 9 to 11 days. I think QT was officially announced or stopped on December 1st, if I'm not mistaken. And so 11 days, 10 days, whatever later, a week and a half later, to go from stopping the removal of liquidity from the system to 11-day pause to now they're injecting liquidity back into the system by purchasing T-bills. It says to manage market liquidity and maintain an ample level of reserves in the financial system. So just that statement, to control market liquidity and to provide ample. They're going to provide ample, all right. They're going to provide abundant. It's going to overflow, pressed together, shaken together, will the Fed give into your bosoms. Where's that verse from? Put it in the chat if you know. Okay. And so I'm making light of all this, but when you know what's coming, it's kind of hard not to look at things. You got to find something to be optimistic about. And what I'm optimistic about is the fact that we know the monetary spigot is cut back on now. They're going to be buying T-bills. And a part of the reason they're buying T-bills is because of the government's indebtedness. And so let me highlight more of what I'm talking about here. So for those who may not have been paying attention or may not know, I got lots of things that I got to get off my chest real quick. But let me share with you a primary reason why that is. And let me bring on the screen here. So this is the primary focus of what the Federal Reserve must be aware of. It has everything to do with what I'm about to show you right now. So literally, this is the big elephant on the globe. You got more than $8 trillion is due. This is the amount of Treasury notes that are set to be refinanced within the next 6 months plus. And so 40 billion a month is just that's just the amount they're telling us that they need to start off with, because there's no way $40 billion a month is going to be able to handle the amount of debt that the federal government or that the United States government will need to issue in order to refinance, and the rates they're refinancing with is a lot higher. And so all this debt was taken out during the Biden regime, and they took it out on the short end, as you can see, because they knew this day was coming. So I believe this was all a part of the restructuring and reset. Not only did the left-right paradigm play a factor in this, where Biden wanted to leave Trump with a mess to have to unwind, but then again, the mess was already there regardless, because this is just short-term debt. You factor in our intergovernment, our overall national debt of 38 trillion and plus. In order to service this, they're going to have to create 8 plus to do this. And so that means we're right now, so right now, let me get this. So this is where we're at right now, people. And I remember, was it Trump's first term, watching this, and it was 19 on the clock, 19 hitting in the 20. And I'm like, by the time Trump done, it's going to be, high 20s. Sure enough, nobody saw the health situation coming, which boosted it by another 7 trillion. But here we are now, 38. So this debt that's about to be issued, this is going to 49 trillion, probably, 2 years into his first term, barring any unforeseen events. So my point is, we're past the point of no return, to where if a person such as myself, I'm a untrained, unlicensed content creator that just have been studying this stuff for over a decade now, have interviewed everybody in this space to educate myself, and read, as you see, all types of books to make sure I'm up on this stuff. If I see a train wreck coming, don't you think China, Russia, the BRICS, the global South, Africa, South America they see something coming as well? And what do you think they're doing? They're obviously de-dollarizing, rethinking the dollar. They're preparing for the end game. They're trying to be, somewhat savvy with theirs. And so that's why gold and silver has to go much, much higher, because there's no floor to how low this thing will fall. Okay. So that was just something to get off my chest there. But let me keep it going, because I'm not done here. So as a result of today being ground zero, or day one of many more to come, 40 billion is just peanuts. 40 billion is peanuts compared to what will need to be brought into existence as our government looks to refinance over $8 trillion plus interest. So let's not forget the interest. And so they're about to take out a lot of debt, and the world is not racing to buy the debt. So if the world's not racing to buy the debt, who's on the hook for the debt? The Federal Reserve. And they're going to come out with all types of ways. So this current operation of 40 billion is meant to provide ample and contain the rates within a certain threshold. Okay, sure. But 40 billion is just the entry point. They're going to take that. They're going to take it well beyond 100, 200, at some point, but they can't do it now. They can't outright go from QT, pause for 11 days, then start QE, and it not catch people's attention. And of course, everywhere on a news sources say it's not QE. That's that they're making a point to make sure to tell you it's not QE. Okay, we believe that, but here's the point, and this is what will be the final determinant of what we witness. This the part they can't lie. The Federal Reserve's balance sheet will tell the story at the end of the day. So as you can see here, you ever wonder how they're able to control the narrative? They simply kick the can further, or they redefine what is really happening. So we know under the Biden regime, they reclassified the definition of a recession. It used to be 2 consecutive contracting quarters will equate to a recession. The National Bureau of Economics, whatever, would come out half a year later and say, "Oh yeah, we were in a recession early this year." And so we see on the screen here these gray bars. They no longer exist. Gray bars are not allowed during the previous administration, and they will not be allowed during this administration. They will not admit that we're in a recession. Everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that ain't got a job, or something like that to let you know that economic conditions aren't great. I've showed it before. I'm not going to go that route. But my point is, this is the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve. And so during every gray bar, there's a surge. So it was a surge during a great GFC, which was the start of all this. And then now, as we can see, there was a surge. This is that COVID surge. So this is the COVID surge, the 14 days or so to spread surge. That's what I call it. And then literally, as Trump left office, at this phase, Trump left office around this part here. So after this surge, Trump left office here, and then he handed over to Biden. And then Biden took it a little bit further. Policies under him. It was like, another stimulus check and the Recover America Act, whatever. And it got to the peak where at the same time where we peaked at all-time high of close to $9 trillion on their balance sheet. Also, remember, inflation, CPI figures was at 9.1%. And as a result of that, we enter the QT phase. So from this point here, let me get myself together here. So from this point here, at the very peak, it's rolled over. And mind you, we should have saw another recession bar right during the surge here. This little hiccup here in normal times would have been considered a recession indicator, but they decided to redefine it. Okay, so my point is, here we are now. Bam, they got their balance sheet down to where we're at right here above my head. You see this right here? This is where we're at now. And so today is day one of that 40 billion that will be added to this. And if we look at what's happened during every crisis, we see a surge. There's a surge here. There's a surge in the health. So the next time they allow a recessionary bar to show up on the screen. So right now, as of 2 days ago, they managed to get their balance sheet down to $6.5 trillion. $6.5 trillion was the lowest that they could get it during the QT, during the pause. This is during a QT pause. And so now with add additional 40 billion to this, and then heading into 2026, they're going to double the 40 to 80 to 120. That's how exponential will have to go to account for everything I just showed you. And so literally, when and if they allow a gray bar to be showed on the screen after it happens, $9 trillion will look like something around here. That's how much higher their balance sheet will grow. And so you ask yourself this question. If you were a creditor of this country, would you sit around and hold U.S. liabilities any longer than you have to without cashing them in, redeeming them for something that can't be printed or manipulated? That's why we're going to see gold and silver go higher, because the rest of the world have already determined that they're not going to sit around and let the Fed's balance sheet go from its peak of 9 down to 6 back up to 12 trillion dollars would just be, that's that it'll be literally, so from here, $12 trillion will be a doubling. So if right now it's at 6.5 trillion, you go to 12 trillion, that's a doubling of the current balance sheet. That means $6 trillion brought into existence, put out there. And that's just to help our government with their debt problem of the short-term refinancing that we're going to have to address. And so that's not mentioning any other events, no banking events, no commercial real estate events, no active war, like, because if this administration invades Venezuela, which it looks like we're going to, they're going to call it like, the Freedom Venezuelan Act or something. They're going to need 2-3 billion for that. So you see what I'm saying? Like, the debt is beyond sustainable. And so, point in case is stack accordingly, as I always keep saying. What else we got here? So anyway, let me go a couple other things here, and then I'll get to some thoughts, ideas, suggestions in the chat. I see a lot of activity, but I wanted to make sure I share with you some things I believe is worth paying attention to, because regardless of how much slamming they do, they won't be able to keep it down for long, because it is too late. Okay, so let me share something with you as well. So here's just, I often, like, online, I share with you what's happening on Asia. I tell you often that Asia is doing, in the Asian region, the people there know gold and silver much differently than we do here, because we have been very privileged to have credit as our primary tool for wealth accumulation, i.e. debt. And of course, everything in this realm of life being financed, where over there they have to actually have to have real collateral to put down for things. And that's why they use housing as their primary wealth savings, and on average. But so here's something I follow. Let me get this on the screen here. Give me 1 second here. Get myself together. Okay, so here's something, just some more commentary on things worth touching on. So here is from Bullion Star out in Singapore. And I follow them heavily just because they share what they're experiencing. They have people lining up outside the stores before stores open because they're rushing in, regardless of price out there. And this story here, I think, does a good job of telling what they're witnessing. It says a 27-year-old customer bought 50 ounces of silver today at $63 an ounce. It says their first ever silver purchase, not phased by the record prices. They're not alone. We're seeing more first-time buyers stacking silver despite new highs. It says fear of missing out, probably, maybe, but something deeper is driving this. It says we're seeing what we're seeing is a growing understanding of what kind of silver they want to own, not just exposure, but possession. Physical metal, no counterparty risk, no digital promises. It says they see silver as scarce, undervalued over the long term, and increasingly strategic, and they're positioning accordingly. It says the speed and the confidence of this new capital tells us more than just interest. It's telling us conviction is building. And this was at 3 a.m. our time, and they got over 19,000 views. And so, once again, different sentiment, different psychology, different way of investing, different way of seeing the world and that hemisphere there. And I'd imagine the narratives that they're probably getting from their mainstream media also is propaganda based, but it's probably more so like in a protect yourself manner. Whereas in their media is talking about gold and silver, because it's good to say they're not really allowed to talk about crypto directly, especially in China. And so, but over here in the West, you turn on the headlines right now, you might see some about, Bitcoin, and, you got Anthony Popliano and Novogratz and 3 or 4, and Michael Saylor gets interviewed every day as if like he's, as if he's like the spokesman, primary spokesman. You got to ask yourself a question. Why are they so hard pressed on making sure people don't lose heart or don't get discouraged in this current market, when gold and silver is proving and showing that, that's where people should be or want to be, as a way of being in the tangible world, not in the intangible. But then again, we know the greater propaganda, and as I mentioned, Oh, let me share something with you real quick. So I like to poke fun at, just for the sake of helping people not be so emotionally connected with anything, not gold and silver, not Bitcoin. Mind you, at the end of the day, none of it's take going with you. It won't save you from the, you know, the hour of trial that will come upon the earth. And so once again, it's more so just a investment tool between now and the time you have your plan executed to live, protect, and provide for everything that God has blessed you with. Okay. But then again, on the crypto side, people get more emotional. And I understand that because their hopes and dreams are tied into the fact that this is going to be the savior of their financial futures, with no proof, no evidence of any kind. But I can give you all the insight that you would need to realize that the system is never for you. It's always against you. So the same people who've orchestrated this entire paradigm we have, they're still in control. What do I mean by that? It's all boils down to regulatory clarity. During this current administration, everybody's excited. Oh, Donald Trump's going to the Bitcoin conference, and he got up there and talked about, stable coins. Pissed everybody off. He's like, well, this is a Bitcoin conference, but he's talking about stable coins. Do you actually think that he's going to do anything that's going to the government will do anything to allow you to be able to protect yourself? The best example of that is if gold was illegal during the Great Depression, and then for 40 years you couldn't own it in a investment sake stance, or you couldn't own gold for 40 years as an investment to protect yourself because it was illegal. And then they made it legal in 1974, and then it became a commodity tradable where the futures for the last 50 plus years have suppressed it. And all of a sudden now you think the government is going to allow you to self-custody your crypto. They want you to have a secure wallet, and they want to protect you so you can protect yourself and and keep them from doing what they do best. Come on now, like, be realistic. If they took your gold, they rewrote history around gold. Now all of a sudden the same government that did that to you wants you to self-custody your crypto, and they want you to live happily ever after. No. And so here's the biggest story in crypto. And I have to mention this because, once again, most people who operate from a different way of seeing things won't be open to uh, realizing that. Let me find it. Where'd it go? They won't be open to this subject matter because it goes against their narrative. It goes against their paradigm. But it is a clue. It gives you signs. If you look, the signs are there. This is the biggest thing that happened in crypto, and it's been dismissed. Here, this is from Decrypt as of yesterday. The SEC approves DTCC pilot to record U.S. securities on a select blockchains via registered wallets. And so, for those who may not know, the DTCC is the primary deal maker, exchange, and custodian of every single asset that you own. Your wallets, your portfolios, your retirements, securities, your annuities, anything that you have put your labor, time, energy, and effort into and considered an asset of yours, they hold it on their balance sheets because it is their property that they custodian it for you automatically. It's the back end of the banking cabal. This is the back end. So the banksters are the front men. The DTCC is the back end. They're the ones that move all activity. And the SEC wasted no time giving them clarity on allowing them to capture the back end of the system and crickets. And so a reason I mention this is because we've had more clarity in Wall Street's involvement with crypto, and then the DTCC on the back end of Wall Street getting clarity than we the people. And so the Clarity Act, which is supposed to be what the American people would receive. Let me just give it to you because some people may not know this, so bear with me. If you know this, then stick around with me. But the goal is I tie all this in so people won't be left behind. And so the Clarity Act is something that our congressmen and women are trying to promote and push so that we the people can have interaction with, so that there's clarity on how people who hold crypto can interact with the legacy system. So here, the Clarity Act refers to multiple pieces of legislation introduced in the U.S. Congress, with the most prominent being the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, a bipartisan bill aimed at establishing a comprehensive federal regulatory framework for digital assets. So literally all the things that make crypto a part of the system so that you and I could interact with it and know what's taxable, what's not taxable, what's security, what's not security, what we can do, what we can spend, if we can earn yield, what we can stake, all that stuff. And it's on hold and it won't be passed this year, but it's been positioned, it's been out there since July of this year. And it was, so they can vote, they voting on it, yada yada yada. Point in case is, it's not moving, and so the Bitcoin community primarily is frustrated because the Clarity Act also was supposed to be some framework that allow the U.S. government to take Bitcoin onto their balance sheet. That's what everybody wants, not realizing the dangers of that. Because whenever the government gets involved in anything, everything becomes a matter of national interest, which means that when the government gets involved, usually it goes the opposite of the way people want it to. But never mind that. But my point is, we the people don't have clarity, but then Wall Street has clarity. How does Wall Street has clarity? Let me share something else with you. So I'm just having fun right now because I like to just highlight and share with people things that people won't really consider because most people live in a cognitive biased viewpoint of everything. But let me share something with you. Uh and I'm gonna play a soundbite. Let me see. Because this is what it's really about. So let me play a little soundbite for you from the man himself. And if he's excited, that means that he has clarity. So I'm gonna share something with you. And like, all this fun with- systems, fraud systems, OFACs. Let me okay. So give me what it's like. Once again, I didn't plan on this, but since I'm here, I want you guys to be plugged in. So here we have Jamie Dimon on Fox. And of course, Jamie Dimon, early investor in Ethereum. They have JPM coin. Okay, I will stop. Okay, but I'm gonna share this with you so you can get an idea as to what the numero uno. He's one of the big bankers. He's the front man for the banksters for the most part. But look, when he's excited about something, you know that he got clarity. Listen to this. All right. So my point is, they moved $16 trillion the other day, and clearly he's speaking from the standpoint of he's been giving clarity on how his institution can operate and exist in this world of monetary uncertainty. So they're fine. JP Morgan's fine. They got the coin. They got everything they need. The DTC has, opportunity to build out. And they moved this past year, the DTCC moved over $100 trillion. Let me see. So they moved over $100 trillion. And so that is a big deal for them because they are the back end to the banking sector. They set an all-time high of movement. Let me just share this with you because this is important information that you won't hear it like this from anywhere else. So the fact that the DTCC cleared to tokenize U.S. markets in historic crypto pivot by $100 trillion custodian. They move $100 trillion. So the fact you hear JP Diamond talk about tokenization, Bitcoin, they move 16 trillion. They moved 100 trillion. Blockchain, distributed ledger technology is meant for this. This is the purpose of the whole movement. And then you got people that are solely focused on their personal wallets and their Bitcoin holdings. And, just, yeah, okay. At some point you'll learn, but it's always too late. It's always too late. When does the man ever lose? To ask yourself that question. When does the powers that be, those that control the systems, when do they ever lose in a world that they've captured? I don't know. That's why it's never been more important to be tangible, be in the physical world. They're steering you digital. Make sure you got 1 foot on land and 1 foot in the clouds if that's what you're going to do. But anyway, I'm just having some fun. What did Jamie Dimon say? Ed, I just played a little clip about him excited about blockchain, talking about smart contracts, tokenization, everything that the cyberpunks, the crypto people years ago used to run upon. Now Wall Street's saying the same thing, and their pockets is bigger, stronger, longer, and faster. So, who's going to win that trade? Anyway, just having fun. Okay, what else? For those who are plugged in, if you have been enjoying hanging out with me a little bit and getting a chance to see things from different perspective, definitely hit that thumbs up button. Show your support for the channel. I try to give you an alternative perspective. So let me recap. So I start off by talking about the dealer. So fractional silver will become a very prominent thing that will be offered because as retail gets in, because they're not in yet, primarily, silver stackers are the ones that are watching me now, the ones that are paying attention, the ones that already have a position. Your mom and pops after the new year, not your mom and pops, but family members, cousins, aunties, uncles, people who have been ignoring you for the last couple of years when you've been telling them to get your weight up. Those are the people who's going to start buying in. They're not coming in buying big bags. They're coming in buying fractional. So dealers are positioning themselves for that. And then you have the fact that today is day one of QE. 40 billion is just a start because literally we got 8+ trillion due this year. So somebody's going to be buying up all that stuff. So expect the Fed's balance sheet to double quickly, and this is all barring a official recession announcement or any type of events. So there will be an event this year. I feel pretty confident about that because you can't have silver and gold going to astronomical prices and there not be some type of diversion tactic that the man loves to put out there to distract people from what's happening. So these are just things that I think we're paying attention to. So what else we got here? So this is, let me just check silver to see how we're going to head into midday. Will we be able to recover? Oh yeah, we're recovering. Oh no, don't worry about it. Be a good cheer. So as of now, we have silver is bottomed out. The worst they can do is get it down to $61. They couldn't do no more damage. And so once again, I noticed somebody in the chat say something about every dip is a buying opportunity. In times past, or depending on your method. So some people could be buying futures, some people could be buying, SLV, some people depending on what you're planning on buying. But I'm talking about if you're buying physical in your hand or delivered to you, however you do it, slam downs won't be the same no more because the premium is going to make up the difference because bullion dealers can't stand the risk of selling and losing. And so I would imagine, and this is just my opinion, this is a thought that just came to me. You know how whenever certain markets are experiencing either, volatility or just there's uncertainty on market activity moving forward, you get into price gouging. So it's usually on gas, stuff like that. During times of crises, I remember 9/11, like the price of gas going like they doubled it, you know what I'm saying, where I was at that time. But anyway, so I would be surprised if bullion dealers start increasing premiums because if you got a customer coming in that's going to buy regardless, you can spike your price up and just add an extra $1 or $2 or whatever on top of it. And because the demand will be there when retail gets here, they're going to buy it anyway. So expect price gouging in the silver gold market, especially because silver is still the most undervalued asset in human history because it's still double digits. When it gets to 3 digits, then we can start talking. If it gets to 4 digits, Lord have mercy on us. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going to happen then, but you guys get my drift. It can get serious really fast. But that's what it is. Okay, so let me in this with let me look. You can see if any thoughts, ideas, questions out there. I see something from Philly Beef out here says fractional silver might be good educational gifts for kids. Reach into the pirate chest and get yourself a piece of treasure, but not actual stacking. So Philly Beef, the fact that you mentioned stacking lets me know that you are already someone who's wise and aware of the importance of having sound money. So your level of stacking is obviously far advanced. But the average mom and pops or your kid, if they don't know what's going on, it's not looked at as stacking. It should be looked at as saving. You're saving yourself from the demise of fiat currency. So I think if you can get a hold of anything, and I've always been a big proponent of fractional, just because years ago when I really started to, I just want anything. You know what I'm saying? Anything that's outside of fiat currency, I want it. So if I see some things like yeah, I'm not gonna go in detail, but if I see anything when I go look in the coin shop, let me get all that. I just take it. Let me get all that. Because at the time, so what's going to happen is what we're going to end up getting into. We're going to start, in the future, we're going to start talking about silver in the form of smaller denomination of weight, i.e., a gram. And so right now, a gram, I remember grams, used to be under $1. And so those are the fractionals I'll talk about. They have the little Val Canby gram bars. I walk in, I get my weight, but then I'm like, give me all that small stuff too. Cause me looking ahead, like those small weights add up. But then again, when it comes time to move stuff, you may end up breaking somebody off a 1 gram bar for a loaf of bread or something like that. So everything has its purpose and have its place. So never estimate a small amount of weight is my point. But I get you though. But everybody who's tuned in here, you guys are aware. You got something already. The people who ain't here, those are the people who will be willing to buy and take whatever. Brittany says APMEX has deals on 10-ounce bars. They can't take crypto because it doesn't exist. It says here, why don't people tell the truth that dealers are paying way under spot prices if you want to sell your silver to these LCS? Why don't people tell the truth? The dealers are paying way under spot price. Oh yeah, we go to sell. Definitely, it's a business, man. Like it's a business. Like they're going to give you the difference between what they know they can recoup quickly and or make a profit on. Okay, a lot of interesting things on here. But anyway, for those who are plugged in late, you never know. I gave all types of nuggets, all types of tidbits of things that we're paying attention to. And as I mentioned, me personally, looking at all types of dealers and stuff like that, I try to keep my eyes on everything. So for those who are interested, I left a link in the description. If you want to take advantage of this opportunity here, 42% off the premium of a 1/10 Indian fractional round. So links in the description if you guys want to take advantage of it. Get as much and as many as you can because it adds up. At the end of the day, believe me, it's not going to zero. And also for those who might be new, if you haven't, I encourage you, click the link in the description, take the Silver IQ quiz and take it. This would be a good way to get involved in the community. Take the quiz and send it to a family or friend so that they can test themselves and it'll make the conversation easier about silver because once they realize they don't know nothing about silver because we weren't taught in school that, then they'll be more open to the idea of paying attention to the market activity and perhaps going out and getting them some weight. And you just help save, help a family savings mechanism. You know what I'm saying? Help them diversify out of the old and into the new. But anyway, appreciate you for blessing with your presence as always. If you enjoyed this, hit that thumbs up button, check mark wherever you're watching from. Drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section if you're watching replay. But other than that, be blessed, be safe. And I got more thoughts and more things I want to talk about. So I might end up, doing some more stuff because I can't get it all in one little live stream. But anyway, I enjoyed this. Shalom.